and welcome to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case, and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. Leona Shurtliff is a lifelong athlete, devoted mother of 12, and one of the Huntsman World Senior Games' most enduring ambassadors. Now 84 years old, she's competed in volleyball, track and field, and softball for nearly 3 decades, building a legacy that spans generations. Leona and her father, Walter Brooks, made games history as the first known father-daughter track and field duo to compete together, and some of her favorite memories include sharing the medal podium with her father and her brother. Despite growing up when organized sports opportunities for girls were limited, Leona's love of competition endured and inspired all 12 of her children to participate in athletics. Inducted into the Huntsman World Senior Games Hall of Fame just last year, Leona remains a passionate advocate for active aging. Just a year and a half after hip replacement, she continues to stay active, enjoyed her first cruise earlier this year with her family, and is eagerly looking forward to competing at this year's Huntsman World Senior Games. Leona, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, first cruise.
First cruise.
84 years, first cruise.
And a lot of my children had been on a cruise.
Yeah.
And they said, Mom, we've got to have you go on a cruise with all of us.
It's time. So where did you go?
We went to the Mexico area.
Okay.
And it was so fun because 11 of my 12 children and their spouses were able to go with us.
Oh, wow.
And so it was just a
What
wonderful trip.
What a
And
trip.
one of them had been on that same trip the year before. And so he made arrangements every evening for all of us to eat together in the same area on that cruise.
And there you were, just surrounded by loved ones, family.
Oh, and it was so fun.
What a great opportunity to connect and to be together and to share a special moment and a special memory.
It sure was.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. I want to talk a little bit to start us off about your to some degree, your longevity in sports, but also acknowledging that when you were a young lady, even a young girl, there were not nearly as many opportunities available to you as there are to girls today. First of all, did you find opportunities to compete, or were you mostly just playing at home with your brothers, or how did that work for you?
Actually, because in Woodward, we had athletics.
Okay.
We didn't get to compete with other people, but we competed with ourselves.
So kind of intramurals.
In the summer, we had church summer softball.
Okay.
And we were only one ward in St. George, one in Washington, one in Santa Clara. And Gail Cooper Smith was a year older than I was, and she was in Washington. And the 4 Brooks girls, we were all twins. Okay. We played on the second ward softball team, and they would compete with us, and we would be just nip and tug to each other. And I would catch, and my sister Lyda would pitch, but nobody would catch for her because she was so wild.
Yeah.
And then Nita would play second base, and Nellie would play center field. And so it was
the Brooks girls dominated.
Brooks girls all along. And we didn't have air conditioning.
Right.
We just played, and we enjoyed every minute of it. I don't remember us ever feeling like it was too hot. Or anything like that. Then in Woodward, we had...
And so just for those who don't know, Woodward was the middle school.
Was the middle school, and it was from 7th grade to 10th grade.
Okay.
So it was like a high school in St. George. When we got in 11th and 12th grade, we were with the college.
Okay.
And the college was our student body officers. We didn't have student body officers, and we did everything with the college, and we loved it. It was just like we were college kids. But in Woodward, we had student body officers, and I got to be privileged to be outstanding athlete as a 10th grader.
Okay.
In that, and we got to play all kinds of sports, and so we really did do the most we can. And there was Miss Hunsaker at one time, and she was a PE teacher in 11th grade, and she got us all together, and we got to go up and play basketball against BYU.
Oh,
and
wow.
we beat them. But that's when you
this
had
little team from St. George went up and played against the BYU team.
And you know what? That's when you had 6 players on a team.
Okay.
3 forwards, 3 guards. You couldn't shoot the ball. You had to dribble it twice and then throw it to your forward.
Okay.
And then eventually they had a rover go back and forth. But
The,
it was a
the
lot
rules were
different.
so different
It
back
was a
then,
lot
especially for the young ladies. But wow, it sounds like you really had
We did.
lots of opportunities to
We
compete.
did. We just played our hearts out.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like there was something that you were missing, that maybe the boys got to do something you didn't
You
get
know,
to do?
I
or-
didn't feel like that then, but now I told my kids, I'd have given my ITs to have the opportunities that
Yeah.
you have. So make sure you take advantage
of it.
every opportunity you have.
So you did take advantage of every opportunity. Do you feel, this is speculation, but do you feel if you had had the same opportunities that your life would be different, or would it be kind of the same thing?
I
Like,
think
what do
it
you
would
think?
be about the same.
Okay.
Because in those days, you couldn't really travel a lot.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the facilities like
Right,
they
right.
have now. And so we took advantage of the best we had.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was an advantage to us.
Well, and it sounds like you really did take full advantage. After you finished with your high school and then some of your college, did you continue to compete and participate in sports, or did you kind of take a break and raise your family? How did that work for you?
Well, we went to Utah State. And my
Okay.
husband was, I met him at Dixie College.
Okay.
Anyway, and he wanted to be a coach.
Okay.
And so we went to Utah State, and I participated in all the PE classes and participated in every activity I could.
Yeah.
And he ran track and was a great track athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did participate. And I didn't start having my family till after we graduated.
Okay.
And he taught at Westside High School, and I taught in junior high. I taught PE
Okay.
in a junior high school after we graduated. But I didn't get a PE minor. I had to go to summer school to get my minor. And so I had to take all these PE classes that summer before I went. And then the next year after that, I started having my family.
Okay.
And so I still participated as much as I could, but once I started having my family, it was
Your priorities changed a
Yeah.
little bit, and that's very common. We talk with athletes all the time that kind of go through that journey. They maybe had an opportunity in school or maybe even in college, and then for both men and women, family comes along, your professional career begins. There are just things that happen. And like you said, you try to take advantage of opportunities as they are presented, but you get your priorities where they
That's true.
have to be. You've got to raise a family. You've got to support them. When did you come back to sports? Because you raised 12 children.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't come back to really competing in sports until after my children were a little bit older.
Okay.
My baby was probably 6 or 7.
Okay.
And I have the 12 children from the oldest to the youngest are exactly 20 years apart
Okay.
to the month.
Yeah.
Anyway, and somebody said to me, "How could you marry a coach?"
It's a fair question, Leona.
I think that's
it's a
the
fair
worst.
question.
And I said, "Hey, that's the best profession there is." My dad was a coach.
Yeah.
My husband's a coach. I've had 6 different children that have coached at some time
Wow.
along the way.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the best profession there is. But my husband was smart. He involved me in his coaching.
Perfect.
I got to take stats for him.
Yeah.
And I got to go on every single trip he went on, and he just involved me. And I tell people who are going to be coaches, involve your wife.
So it became family time
Yeah.
as well.
It was a family-
It wasn't only he's
Yeah.
going to work and that's his profession, but it became a family
and
opportunity.
some of my
that
kids did the
you
video,
could spend
and
together,
some
yeah.
of my kids did the helping to coach
Yeah.
and everything else. And so
No,
it was a family.
that's smart. That was the way to do it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Huntsman World Senior Games.
Okay.
So you're a little bit of a legend around here, Leona. You've been involved for so long. This year is going to be your 30th year. Is that
That's
correct?
right.
So you are in line for that coveted Letterman's jacket.
I am so
and we
excited.
cannot wait to present that to you. But you had a really interesting introduction to the games
I
because it
did.
was through your father.
Yeah.
So tell us how he got you involved in the World Senior Games.
You know, he participated in the World Senior Games, and I was gone when I was 50. But when I got back, I was 51, and he registered me for the Senior Games. And he's
Did
exactly
he tell you?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
So you
exactly
knew it
30
wasn't-
years older than I am,
Right,
so he
right.
was 81.
Yeah.
And we were so excited about the senior games. And 2 weeks before the senior games, he had a stroke.
Oh, wow.
And so but he still participated.
Yeah.
He couldn't talk at the time. And in those days, when you were awarded your medals, you got to go up on a stage because it was small.
Yeah.
And you got to talk about your medals and everything else.
Okay.
And so I went up with him, and
You helped express.
I expressed what
Yeah.
it was, and he said, "Okay." that was as much as he could say.
Wow.
But he did get medals anyway, even though that. And you know what? He would register me for the senior games, and I would register him for the summer games
Okay.
over in Cedar.
Up in Cedar
and
City.
so we were the oldest in the summer games.
Right.
But I was one of the youngest in the senior games.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm going to take you to the senior games until we have to take you in a wheelchair." And the last
And
year.
you did.
The last year when he was 91,
Yeah.
we took him in a wheelchair, and he had a student that every year he would come and walk with us when we do track and field all around when we do
Around the track. Yeah.
And then he would stand by Dad while Dad did his discus and shot and javelin, make sure he didn't fall.
Didn't fall, yeah.
And then I would take pictures. And as soon as Dad died, neither Clint nor I did track and field anymore.
Yeah, Clint, your brother.
No, Clint Nelson
he was the student
was a
that
student
helped.
from Kanab.
Okay.
That was one of his students, and
Yeah.
he loved Dad.
Yeah.
And he just took care of him along with all the time. And
Yeah.
and as soon as Dad died, neither of us did track and field again.
But you continue to do other
Oh, yeah.
things. I'm wondering if you can put into words what it felt like to be competing with your dad. Like, not everybody gets that opportunity.
They don't. And you
Yeah.
know what? And the struggles that Dad went through, just to be able to compete with him
Yeah.
and to be able to, it was so neat. I was my dad's favorite boy.
Well, what a
I
great
say that now,
experience.
but it
Yeah.
was the most wonderful thing. And it made family important.
Yeah.
And family
Absolutely.
family's the most important thing. And you know what's wonderful about the senior games now is I have so many coming to support me and watch me in the senior games.
Well, you've got 12 kids, so you've got a built-in
and I have
audience,
51
right?
grandkids.
Oh, my word, that's
and
fantastic.
They all make signs and come and watch me. And
Yeah.
the team that I am on is so neat for them because they have so many people coming to watch.
Yeah.
And normally you don't have a lot of people because they're all from so far
Different
away.
places, yeah.
Yeah.
But you definitely bring an entourage with you
I
of
do.
love and support, and I think that's fantastic. I don't know if you know this, maybe you do, but you and I do have that in common. I've had the opportunity to compete with my mom
Have
at
you
the
really?
games. Yeah, so when I first started with the games, I started immediately working on both of my parents to pick a sport. You know, just it doesn't matter what it is, just pick something. And they were both a little hesitant. They both felt like, their time had kind of come and gone, and they had moved on. But I finally convinced my mom to do a 5K, and my dad took a little bit longer, but he landed on horseshoes. And they both love it. They both love it so much. And I have had the opportunity. This is going to be my third games where I'm eligible to compete. And so for the last 2 games, I've had the chance to
Are you
run.
that young?
Yeah, well, young, old, depends on who you ask, right? Ask my kids, and there's a different answer there. But yeah, I've had the chance to run a 5K with my mom. And the first year that we ran 2 years ago, we both decided collectively that we would just run our own race.
Mm-hmm.
She would run hers, I would run mine. We wouldn't try to get in each other's way or try to run too fast or too slow. Just run your pace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that we had that experience. That was great. But last year, I decided that we would just run together. She and I would run together.
Oh, that's so fun.
And it was so fun. It was so great and so amazing to see, firsthand and right up close and personal, the effort that she put into the race, and then to try to keep up with her as well, because she works hard at it and does a great job. And we were coming to the end of the race, And I could tell that there was a lady in front of us that was in her age group. And I was like, okay, Mom, this is our chance. If we're going to do it, we got to go for it. And we both put our best effort in, and we were nipped at the finish line. So she ended up getting the silver medal that year. But independent of medals, the experience was unforgettable.
That's
and I'm
true.
always going to look forward to that. And I am also registered once again with her this year. So if everything goes well, we'll get a chance to keep doing it. And we're just following in your example, you and your father's.
Well, and the 5K.
Yes.
That's a 3 mile.
Yep.
I'm doing the 5K tomorrow at the Enterprise Fun Run.
Oh, there you go.
With 35 of my kids and their grandkids.
How amazing is
And
that?
I love it. I do it every year.
Yeah.
And I'm always the only one in my age group. So I get a gold medal.
So
And
you get a
sometimes
medal.
I'm the oldest runner, so I get a trophy. But
Oh,
anyway,
that's
that is so
fantastic.
fun
Yeah.
to do that with your family.
It really is. It really is. And, we say this all the time here at the games, but sport really does have the potential to bring us together. Just across the board.
Camaraderie.
Exactly. The friendships, the relationships.
And year after year, you meet the same people.
And when you can also include your family in that, there's really something special about it.
It really is. And the neat part about the senior games, they have something for everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
And if you can't walk or can't do much of anything, they have something for you.
There's something there for everyone.
Yeah.
There's 40 different sports that you can choose from. And we say it all the time, but it is true, Leona. We have something for everyone. So
You do.
all you got to do is go through that list, find something that you can do,
Yeah.
and then come and be a part of it.
And then it exuberates you and it makes you younger.
There's no question about that. There is
does.
no question about that. So you've really been able to have a kind of a unique, amazing experience to share sport with your children, with your father, with your grandchildren now, your family. That's been amazing. You've competed for almost 30 years. This will be your 30th year at the Huntsman World Senior Games. I'm wondering if you have a favorite memory that stands out.
One of my most favorite memories, of course, was when I got to be on the podium with Dad.
Yeah.
But my favorite memories right now, are being with my volleyball girls, whichever team I'm on, and being able to participate. And most of the times we get a medal.
Yeah.
I think 1 or 2 years we didn't. But when I played softball, I met some people on the softball team that were local that I've been friends with forever.
Yeah.
But softball interfered with volleyball a little bit.
They do overlap. Yeah.
And so I didn't do softball anymore. I
Okay.
just did volleyball. And I was on the California Golden Girls for
Okay.
several years.
Yeah.
And 1 year, one of the captains died. So we did that one more year and then honored her that year and held her
Yeah.
jersey up. And that was a special year.
Absolutely.
That was a really special year.
Again, as we've said, the relationships that you can form through sport, and sometimes that's a team sport, sometimes it's an individual sport, but the friendships, the camaraderie, the relationships, the support, everything that you receive as part of the dynamics of playing a sport can be such a positive thing in your life, and it really revolves around the people.
It does.
Yeah.
And you know, track and field is an individual sport,
It
and
is.
it is so fun. My dad did the discus shot and
Yeah.
the javelin, but I did everything I could.
Just sign me up.
I even did the high jump and the long jump and the triple jump, and I even did the hurdles one year.
Okay.
Because I've required every one of my kids to do the hurdles, because in the hurdles, you don't have to be super fast, you don't have to be extra strong, but you work and work and work and
Yeah.
get extra good, and you can win them in the hurdles.
Yeah.
But I only did the hurdles 1 year.
Okay. But you experienced it.
I did
You had that
experience, and I
opportunity.
thought, oh, wow.
Tell us just a little bit about your current volleyball team.
Okay, the current volleyball team this is the first year I'll be on it.
Okay.
And they play senior games in other
Around the nation.
senior games.
Yeah, most states have some version of a senior games.
And I had to call several people, but I get to be on the 78 plus this year.
Okay.
Other years, there's only been one team 78 plus.
Yeah.
And so I've
So
been
you
on
have to
the
play down.
76 plus.
Yeah.
But they have 3 78 plus teams this year.
Okay.
And I got the information from you guys, and I called each of the people, and one of them said, "We only have 6 players, so we'll put you on our team."
I was going to ask you how you found the team. So you kind of went through a roundabout process,
yeah,
and figured out how to get connected.
Because I put myself on the list, but they don't respond that way, and so I got numbers and called and got on
and
a
you found a
team.
team.
Yeah.
So are there still only 7 players, or have you
I don't
recruited
know.
a few other? You
I
don't
don't
know for sure.
There was
You'll
another
find
lady
out.
that called me and wanted a team. I gave her that lady's number.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So are these ladies from all around the United States, or are they from a central location?
They're from Texas and
Okay.
other places, I think.
Okay.
Anyway.
How does it feel to walk onto a volleyball court in this case with brand new people that you haven't met before? Like, how do you break the ice and start to figure out how to work together? What's that process like?
Well, you know what? I tell them, hey, I'll do whatever you want me to.
Yeah.
And
Team player.
And I play Mondays and Thursdays with the girls that play volleyball here in St. George.
Locally, yeah.
And of course, I'm the oldest one. Most of them aren't even old enough to play on. But they're
games,
so kind to me. And they cover for me, and they let me play. And some of them say, well, when we're your age, we hope that the guys will let us play.
We all feel that way. When we're Leona's age, we want to be as active and engaged and participating in the same way that you are. Like I said, you're a little bit of a hero around here.
Oh, my goodness.
And we look to you as an example of active aging and of longevity and of just continuing to do the thing that you love to do.
Well, and after my hip surgery,
which was about a year and a half ago,
and a half ago on New Year's Eve morning.
All right. You might as well do it on a special day to commemorate and remember, right?
Anyway, and they told me, you need to do these exercises. So I did them before my hip surgery even.
Yeah.
And after my hip surgery, I was so faithful in doing them, and I still do them.
You had a great recovery.
I still do exercises every morning so that my body responds.
Yes.
To what it needs to.
Well, and again, like I said, you've been such a great example of just active aging and longevity and doing all the things that you need to do to continue to do the things that you love to do.
And Huntsman World Senior Games inspires people to not just sit and be a couch potato. Yeah. They inspire them to go and do and be the kind of person that you can be. And you don't have to disintegrate.
Right.
You don't have to just sit and not be active. You can be active, whether it's, as far as you can.
Yeah.
I have a big garden. I'm doing the fun run tomorrow, and I live on 80 acres.
Yeah.
And I just I have a big, and I have a son that lives right next door to me.
Okay.
And lots of times I holler, "Help, Robert."
Yeah.
Help, Robert.
And he comes.
I
and
like
runs.
to mow my own lawn.
Yeah.
I like to do all the things that keep me active.
Well, you have a very purpose-driven life, and a lot of it does revolve around your family, but you've also been able to make athletics a part of that too. And obviously, the Huntsman World Senior Games has been a big part of your life and something that you've definitely proven that you love and that it is ingrained almost in your DNA. We mentioned earlier that last year you were inducted into the Hall of Fame, and recognizing and knowing how big of a deal the games are to you and by association to your family, but sports as a whole to your family. What was it like to sit there in that induction ceremony with all 12 of your children? What were the feelings that were going through your heart?
Oh my goodness. I just can't express how grateful I was. And I was so grateful to the Senior Games for doing that for me, because my husband, my father, a lot of my kids have been in halls of fame.
Sure.
Never me. And I just thought, wow, this is so awesome to think that little old me gets to do some of these things.
Well, Leona, I'm telling you right now that we only put people in who deserve it, and you are certainly one of those. You were such a great candidate, and again, such a great example of living the active life, of active aging, of staying engaged. And I think you've got a lot more years in front of you.
I hope so.
Where you can continue to compete and to play the sports that you love and really enjoy yourself.
Well, and athletics isn't my only thing.
Right.
I love music. I work in the temple. I love my temple work.
Yeah.
I love to play the piano. I lead the singing in my ward, and I make the people follow me.
Which is not always
I'm
the
very
easiest
demanding.
job. It's not always the easiest job.
I know.
Let's talk about that just a little bit. So we've talked a lot about the sports and the family aspect of things, which are really important. But you really do enjoy other things. You've mentioned you've got a garden. You've got some acorns that you need to take care of. You love the music side of things. How have these other things contributed to your overall well-being and enjoyment of life?
Well, they make me much more well-rounded. And
Yeah.
one of the highlights of the year is the fishing derby. We go up to the reservoir, and we have a fishing derby, and two of my sons have boats. And we have about almost every family and all the grandkids and even some great-grandkids, they all get to go on the boat
Okay.
and catch a fish and release it. It's catch and release.
Catch and release.
But every single person gets to catch a fish. Anyway, and then we have a big celebration, and it's always around my birthday.
Yeah.
So we celebrate my birthday, and I have a ukulele that I play.
Okay,
And we
okay.
sing around the campfire, and I teach them all my little silly songs. So all the grandkids, and then we have trophies. I've gotten a trophy for the most beautiful fish, the most fish caught, the biggest fish, the littlest fish, and the flog the dog trophy.
What does that mean?
Flog the dog means you just fish and fish and fish and fish.
And that's it.
You never quit. Anyway, and then we have this big barbecue around the campfire, and then we toast marshmallows around the campfire, and then we sing, and then we have a birthday party for me.
Wow.
And we do heavy, heavy hangover.
My
Thy
poor
poor
head,
head. What do
yeah.
you wish this person? And each family has a present, and I wish them fabulous things.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
And we have the best participation for that. We have a lot of traditions that are family traditions. The day before Thanksgiving, we go and get Christmas trees up on Cedar Mountain.
Yeah.
And everybody gets a Christmas tree. We go sledding and hot chocolate, and then we come down to the pizza factory, have pizza, and then we go home. The next day's Thanksgiving, and then after Thanksgiving,
It's Christmas time.
They put up my Christmas tree for me.
Leona, I feel like you're doing it right. I feel like you're doing it right. So just keep up the great work. 84 years old, what's the biggest life lesson that you want to share with everybody?
The biggest life lesson that I want to share with everybody is you're never too old. And I try to participate with my grandkids, everything they do, the races, I do the zip line, I do the whatever it is, and I say, if Grandma can do it,
Then you can
you
too.
can do it
No
too.
excuses.
Yeah.
Leona, I think that's such an important message. And you obviously don't just say it, but you actually live it. And I think that's fantastic. I want to say thank you so much for your example, as I've mentioned. And thanks for joining us today. And we want to wish you the very best, not only this year, but for many, many years to come at the Huntsman World Senior Games.
Thank you. I hope I get at least 10 more years.
Easily. We'll go for that. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Just a couple of quick things to get us wrapped up here. I want to remind everybody this is important. Early bird registration is coming to a close. August 1st is the last day to save some bucks, so don't miss out. But also keep in mind that September 1st is the last day to register, so we're really winding things up here. Join Leona this year and secure your spot in the Huntsman World Senior Games. You can do that as well as find all the information you need about the dates, the venues, the divisions. Everything you need to know is at seniorgames.net. The games runs from October 5th through the 17th of 2026. So please put that on your calendar and then plan to be a part of the Huntsman World Senior Games this year. Next week's guest, Hannah Rothland, has spent more than 30 years helping individuals and athletes enhance performance, focus, resiliency, and enjoyment through mindful meditation and mind-body practices. A lifelong athlete and iron distance triathlete, Hannah's career has spanned fitness, training, corporate wellness, strength and conditioning, as well as healthcare and senior living. You don't want to miss that show next week. If you've enjoyed this show, and we hope that you've enjoyed this show, be sure to get all the education and inspiration on the active life by subscribing wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also find this and all of our previous episodes once again at seniorgames.net. We'd love it if you would take a moment and give us a rating, write a quick review, heck, even ask questions or start a conversation online on our social media. All of that really helps us grow and spread the word. Today's inspirational thought comes from the one and only Walt Disney, who once said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." That sounds like great advice. Until next Thursday, stay active.